My name is Thomas, and I'm 89 years old. I've lived long enough now to watch almost everything I once thought was permanent slowly fall away, and that's left me with one question I wish I had asked myself much earlier. When everything else is gone, what's still standing? I grew up believing life was something you built piece by piece, the way a man builds a house. You lay a foundation with hard work, you add rooms called success and respect, and one day you step back and admire what you've made. For a long time, I thought I was doing it right. I worked steadily, rarely complained, and kept moving forward even when my body asked for rest or my heart asked for something softer. People called me reliable. Some even called me successful. I wore those words like a coat, not realizing how heavy they were becoming. There was a season of my life where every year blurred into the next. Mornings started early, evenings ended late, and conversations were often rushed, as if the real living would begin once I finished whatever I was chasing. I told myself this was responsibility. I told myself this was love, providing for others by being absent from them. At the time, that explanation felt convincing enough to quiet any doubt that tried to rise. Loss has a way of interrupting stories like that. It doesn't knock politely. It enters and rearranges the room. Friends I assumed would always be there were suddenly names I spoke in the past tense. My strength faded so gradually I didn't notice until I needed help opening jars or standing from a chair. The world didn't end when those things happened, but it became smaller, and in that smaller world I could finally see more clearly. The first thing to go was my usefulness, as I had defined it. No one needed me to fix things the way they once did. Decisions were made without me in the room, not out of cruelty, but out of practicality. For a while, that hurt more than I expected. I had wrapped my worth so tightly around being needed that when the need disappeared, I felt as though I had gone with it. But something interesting happened in the quiet that followed. When I stopped being valued for what I could do, I started being valued for how I could be. People sat longer. They asked questions without checking the time. They didn't need solutions from me anymore. They just wanted me present. I wish I could say I understood right away how rare and beautiful that was, but understanding takes time, too. What lasts is not the version of you that performs. It's the version that remains when performance is no longer possible. It's the tone of your voice when you speak gently. It's whether people feel safe enough to be honest around you. Those things don't fade with age. If anything, they become clearer. I think often about love and how poorly I understood it when I was younger. I thought love was proven through sacrifice that no one saw, through endurance, through staying strong. Now I know love is far more fragile and far more resilient than that. It lives in small, repeatable moments. Sitting with someone when there's nothing left to say, remembering a story they've told you before and letting them tell it again anyway. Love lasts because it doesn't depend on being impressive. Faith, too, has changed shape for me. It used to be something I reached for answers from, a way to make sense of plans and outcomes. Now it's more like a place I rest. At this age, you stop demanding explanations. You become grateful for steadiness. What lasts is not certainty, but trust, the quiet kind that doesn't need to be defended. There are objects in my house that once felt important, awards, documents, things I carefully stored away. I've watched dust settle on them without consequence. No one comes looking for them. But there are other things, smaller things, that seem to carry weight no matter how many years pass. A photograph with worn edges, a letter written in a familiar hand, a memory of laughter that still warms you when you think of it. Those things last because they were never meant to prove anything. They were meant to connect. If I could speak to the younger version of myself, I wouldn't tell him to work less or aim lower. I would tell him to notice more, to understand that the goal is not to fill your life so completely that there's no room for loss, but to shape it in a way that even loss cannot empty it. What lasts is what you let matter before you're forced to. Now, at 89, My days are quieter and my body moves more slowly, but my sense of what is real has never been sharper. I no longer measure my life by what I accomplished. I measure it by who still knows my voice, by who feels my absence when I'm not there, by the peace I feel when I sit alone and don't need to distract myself. One day, everything I own will belong to someone else or to no one at all. My name will be spoken less frequently, and then not at all. That doesn't frighten me the way it once might have, because I've learned that what actually lasts was never meant to be held. It was meant to be given, quietly, consistently, and without keeping score. If you're listening to this and your life feels full to the point of exhaustion, I hope you pause long enough to ask yourself what will remain when the noise fades. Not someday, now, because the answer won't wait forever, and neither will you.